All right, so it's kind of like a doom and gloom because of the suspension. So why not have like some comedy? And Kyle's gonna drop a joke on us right now.
Yeah, I took the dog to the vet the other day to stay a couple days because I'm going out of town, and they gave me Titanic. They gave me Tetris and Monopoly, and I was like, "What's this for?" They said, "Oh, 2 games for boarding."
Oh, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Locked On Avalanche podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. I am your host, Chris Maselli, and bringing you another episode of the podcast dedicated to your Colorado Avalanche. If you're wondering why we're laughing, you might have to go to YouTube because I cut the very beginning part out for the audio section. But maybe this is a cheap way to get people to go over to YouTube. But Kyle dropped a nice joke right in the beginning. Some levity in this time of suspensions for the Colorado Avalanche. So obviously it's Friday and he is here with me as he is with every Friday. And yeah, we're gonna get to the Gabe Landeskog suspension. Is it warranted? Is it too much? Is it just enough? And everything that comes with any suspension, really, in the National Hockey League. We'll get to it's almost over the first week of the NHL with now being ESPN and TNT. So we'll get into that, and then we'll look forward to tomorrow's game against St. Louis. All of that and whatever else we decide to talk about. But as always, thank you for making this your first listen of the day. And you can follow the show on social media outlets, LOPN_Avalanche on Twitter, Locked On Avalanche on Instagram. Questions, comments, concerns, opinions, go to lockedonavalanche@gmail.com and the aforementioned YouTube channel, which you can now watch the show video form. So, hello everybody. And so quickly, I'll just get your impressions of day one or game one. We'll get to the Landeskog thing here in a second, but just throw it over to you. Overall thoughts on the 4-2 win against Chicago.
I thought it was incredible. It's exactly what we needed, and me being a fan of all things hockey, I watched Tampa completely just be invisible in their game, and I was like, "Oh no!"
You listen to this show too, don't you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm a fan of
Yeah.
Locked On Avalanche, and I was so concerned. I was like, "Oh, this is going to be bad." So I was dreading that Chicago game, and it was probably one of my favorite. It was nonstop. Every line was rolling, and there was contributions everywhere. Granted, they took their foot off the gas a little bit towards the end of the second period, but that's the Avalanche. They do that, but it was incredible, and it almost had that tempo of that time we hung 9 on Nashville. It was that.
I was thinking that same exact. It was going in that direction.
Yeah.
And I think it was a combination of they let up a little bit and Chicago did change it up a little bit and they got back into the game. But yeah, I was thinking that same exact game.
Yeah.
Same exact game. So overall, great first step, pretty much.
Yeah, absolutely. And with Landeskog aside, like that's exactly what Avalanche fans wanted and what we've anticipated all offseason. So a great first step. 81 more to go.
Yeah. Let's talk about Gabe Landeskog. That's what everybody's talking about right now. If you follow me on Twitter, I was saying it when it happened. Why would you do that? It was not called for. It was unnecessary. He was humming. He was looking for someone to hit, and it happened to be Kirby Dach, who was down on a knee when it happened. If he wasn't down on a knee, it still would have been a I don't want to say vicious hit, but he was going after it because he tried to hit someone 15 seconds earlier and didn't really get a good clock on the guy. I don't remember who it was, but he turned around. He was chirping to someone. I don't know if it was a ref or the other player that he was trying to hit, and he went up ice. Kirby Dach just happened to be there in a vulnerable spot. Now that's not Landeskog's fault. But what is his fault is the actions he took while Dach was in that vulnerable spot. I know. I mean, you can go out there and read the social media posts. I'm sorry, people. Like, at some point, you need to start looking at things the way that they are and not through the lens of your fandom. Yeah. Because if this had happened the other way around, it would have been, you would have blown up social media on how, just say it was Dach that hit Landeskog that way. You would want Dach done for the year. And don't say that you wouldn't. And you want to know how I know? Because earlier in the game, Darren Helm got hit on a clean hit, a butt check he got. And that was a clean hit. And people were running to social media. Why is there no penalty on that? So you have to turn your fandom off on stuff like this. It was a nasty hit. It was a vicious hit. And Gabe Landeskog's my dude. He's one of my favorite Avalanche players ever. That doesn't mean he's immune from retribution and or not retribution, but my wrath, for whatever that is worth. It was uncalled for. But the question. So we'll talk about the hit first, and then we'll talk about the punishment.
Everything about it was so weird. But now, like, you think about it in context with the preseason, does Landeskog, did he hear us say, hey, it's time to step it up? You got the contract, step it up? Because he went crazy in the Minnesota game. He was headhunting in the Minnesota game, and everybody was like, wow, vicious Landy, this is what we need. Well, we got what we asked for, and I mean, there was like less than 4 minutes in the third period. And that game was pretty much over. And you could go back and watch. You can watch that clip. Like, he was looking for someone. He was jarring at every Blackhawk he was passing, and I don't understand what he's trying to prove there. Like,
he was just mad at something. I don't know what it was. I didn't see back enough if he got hit or something, and nothing was called. So he said, the stuff in the preseason. When Kadri got cross-checked, he's defending his players. Everybody's cool with that. That's not a problem at all. You're squaring up with a guy. This was completely unnecessary and uncalled for. And the game wasn't in hand. I mean, it was 4-2. The way that they're playing, you feel pretty good about the outcome. But now you're down. You don't have him. Obviously, we know the guys that they don't have already. And, now they're on a 6-on-4 because they're going to pull Fleury. There's 4.5 minutes left. They get one goal during that power play, and then maybe they have 3.5 minutes left, and anything can happen in that time frame. So it wasn't in the bag. It was a dumb move at a bad time.
And we are just thankful it didn't injure Dach and it become a major. And Chicago could have kept pouring it on at that point.
And not only that, and the suspension would have been longer.
Yes.
If Dach had been injured, because, and I said that I had a conversation with someone on Twitter about it, saying, the fact that Dach didn't get injured and it's still a 2-game suspension lets you know that it was going to be a 2-game suspension. That's the baseline. That was the least he would have gotten, because how it played out is got the penalty, bad hit, Dach's not injured, 2-game suspension. If Dach had gotten injured, we're looking at double that, 4 or 5 games, easy.
And so I honestly, seeing that hit in real time, I was thinking 4-6.
I wasn't thinking that much, and well, maybe you can think that because Department of Player Safety is so up and down with.
Kadri got 6, so you think in the context of a season, like 4-6 isn't out of the realm of possibilities. Like 6 is basically a playoff series.
Pretty much, yeah. But now this is an issue for the rest of the year.
True,
because Landeskog is known to do this. Like and this is why so many people were questioning the contract that they gave him in terms of length, because this is how he plays. He plays with a chip on his shoulder. In game 1, he's pinned in the red. So, that's, I think the way that the contract is structured favors the Avalanche, because in the last 4, it's, if they need to have that conversation, I hope they never do. And Joe Sakic said he's going to retire in Avalanche, which I completely hope happens. But if his play, catches up to his body, and because he starts playing like this, and which we know he does, which he's a physical style of player. But in terms of the rest of the season, he part of the reason why he got 2 games is because he's a repeat offender.
Mm-hmm.
And I know he hasn't been suspended since 2017, but neither was Nazem Kadri was outside of the realm of the repeat offender status. And they still gave him what they gave him. So Landeskog has done this now at the beginning of the season. If he does it at any other point during the season, he's in that repeat offender time frame now. So now we're going to be watching Kadri and Landeskog for the rest of the season, and especially getting into the playoffs, because if something happens, both of these guys are gone. And I'm sorry to be talking about Kadri because he's an innocent bystander on this. We really shouldn't be talking about him, but that's how it's going to be for the whole year.
Yep.
It's just the reality of the situation.
And he's the measuring stick, and it was one of the things you could point to with our exit from the playoffs. So it's something that you didn't anticipate having to keep an eye on through the season. And I hope this isn't a sign of things to come, because we don't need to be fighting injuries and suspensions throughout this season. So
no,
it's a great win, but let's not bring everything from that first win to the next game.
Yeah, and we'll talk about the Saturday game later, but you're right. It's it was a great first win. Some things you got to work on, obviously, with the power play and all that. But it was completely soured by this.
Mm-hmm.
And that first 10 minutes and 3 goals in the first 10 minutes is kind of like a distant memory, because now we're without our captain for the next 2 games. We could be without other guys too. So we'll get to that a little bit later. But first, we're going to hear from Built Bar. I mean, Kyle's a number 1 fan of Built Bar.
Love Built Bar.
Yeah, it is the number 1 and best tasting protein bar on the market. And there is a flavor for everybody, such as coconut, raspberry, mint brownie, double chocolate, strawberry, orange, cookies and cream. The list goes on. And if you haven't tried any of them, you can get a mixed box where you get 2 of each of 9 flavors available, and you can pick your favorite. Not only are Built Bar flavors the best tasting, but they are healthy. They have 17 to 18 grams of protein. Calories range from 130 to 180. 4 or 5 grams of sugar, 4 or 5 grams of net carbs. Amazing flavors, all tasty, all healthy. So go to builtbar.com right now. Use the promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off of your order. That promo code again is LOCKED15 for 15% off at builtbar.com. All right, so we have a handful of games completed. We had opening night on ESPN. We had opening night for TNT and opening night for ESPN. So it's back on ESPN. It's the first time on TNT. If you listen to Locked On NHL, Adam and I had a pretty good discussion about it. I was pleasantly surprised with both of them. I can't believe I'm saying this, because if you listen to this show, I've been critical of ESPN. I think I like their coverage a little bit more right now. It's still so early, but I think both networks have great teams. Like, I can't figure out if I like one more than the other, and that's a good thing. It's because I like them both. I think they both have really good anchors, really good play-by-play guys, really good studio hosts. I mean, it's early, obviously, but right now, for me, it's 2 thumbs up on both of these networks. But I do have a couple issues, which we'll get to later, but I want you to go.
Well, that's funny. You welcome to the ESPN camp. I was sitting there for ESPN opening night, and the music and the fanfare and the nostalgia, and it was all beautiful. It was wonderful. I was like, this is what I wanted. Then I turned on the first night of TNT, and that was all I've ever dreamed of, where I was looking forward to the intermission show. I love their studio show, their setup, the conversation. I love the defensive triangle.
Oh, no.
Bracket.
Hate it.
Hold
But
on. I will explain. I'll explain why I like that. I like
it just needs to be tweaked, but go ahead.
I like the speed above the goal on the shots.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Like, I like a lot of what TNT is doing. I like that triangle because I had my brother, he texted. He's like, "What's that triangle about?"
Right.
And see, it's a chance to be like, well, this is, and then you get to explain the game,
Yeah.
And like TNT is like doing more for hardcore fans and like new fans that are just stumbling on trying to find Law and Order SVU, stumble across a hockey game. They're like, "What's this?" And then the production on it is next level.
Yeah. That's one of my issues is the triangle. And the way I'm going to say it needs to be tweaked is they have to shut it off at certain points. Like they had it on there. It was a 4-on-3, and it was, they had the triangle, and I get it. Like someone will ask, like, "Oh, what's that mean?" And you can kind of explain to them what the reasoning behind it. But when a puck was cleared and one of the defenders moved into the neutral zone, they kept the triangle there,
Yeah.
and it was not a triangle at that point. It was just like
It's a pointing
strings.
arrow.
It was strings all over the place, and you're like, what is this? What's going on the ice? So shut it off, and then if you want to have it on when the defense gets back set up again, then put it back on. So just toggle between shutting it off and turning it on is my only issue with it.
I will say I like this better than NBC when they would put above somebody's head like their time on ice, like on a shift. And like nobody ever double shifted. It was always like you got your 30,
Yeah,
you got your 30 to 56 seconds, and you're like, I could have timed that. But
I
you're watching
don't.
somebody's name and watching them be
Right.
timed.
I don't mind that so much if it's really high. Like if someone's out there for like 2 minutes, then put it up there, because that's okay. TNT putting the power play time clock like right in the center of the offensive zone, kind of cool. I mean, you can just divert your eyes like straight up into to the left, and it'll still be up in the score bug. So you get it in two spots. What I mean, it's just an added thing. But when they had that, when they had the time on the ice and the triangle, then I thought, well, I'm not crazy about the triangle, but ESPN is watching this,
Yeah.
and TNT is watching ESPN. So you're gonna have two networks kind of going back and forth and playing off each other with stuff like that. And ESPN is looking at that and saying, "We didn't think of that. We need to do that and do it better." And if you think about like the NFL, way back when they started putting that yellow line for the first down, like not everybody did that. I think it was
Yeah.
Fox who did it first, and now that's the norm.
Mm-hmm.
So you're gonna have that like friendly competition between these two networks to see what one is doing, and then maybe adjust their broadcasts
And it
accordingly.
was and automatically tackling one of the points that you had when it came to these broadcasts that you wanted some innovation and something growing with the game. We got it on the first night with these broadcasts, and it's only going to get better for hockey fans. So I think this is a step in the right direction for both networks. So hockey fans rejoice. We are in good
Yeah,
hands.
really. And I talked about this with Adam. And you think about it now, like NBC was just a vehicle for games.
Yeah.
That's all they did was just play games, and there was no what's the point, the show
Oh
that's
yeah.
on ESPN. Dude, that is a fantastic show. That is what the NHL has needed.
Mm-hmm.
A dedicated NHL show that every day at a certain time you can tune in, get all that day's news. They do human interest pieces, they do player profile pieces. They dig into the league. And that is what I think a lot of current NHL fans are looking for. And that is what new NHL fans are looking for that want to know more about this league. They're going to go watch that show, man. I think they've done a great job with that. You have to love Buccigross hosting it. Like you said, man, this right so far it's aces, with just some things that they have to fix. So
Yeah. Linda Cohn's also got that In the Crease show as well on ESPN Plus.
on Plus, I haven't watched that yet. I got to watch that.
She does a very good job with that as well.
Well, she knows her stuff, so
She
she's
does.
very
I'm a
smart. Yeah.
huge Linda Cohn fan.
Yeah. The only other thing I'll say that I didn't like on ESPN, they had that floating camera that they
Yeah.
use all the time in the NFL. And again, I talked about this with Adam, but it doesn't work in the NHL because the game is too fast and it's too back and forth. And that camera struggles to turn quickly when transition happens and a team goes from defense to offense and is on the go. That camera can't keep up that. I mean, it gets there relatively quickly, but your eyes are just all over the place because you can't center on the puck.
When I saw that camera, I almost messaged you. What they needed to do was mimic that Wild broadcast we watched on YouTube, and that camera that they had in that was viewing down the ice, like on the
from
power
like the
play.
goalie, from the goalie. I want that in the NHL and I want that in the NFL.
Yeah,
I
that
don't know
was
what, like,
incredible.
it's the John Madden. It's Madden NFL camera angle. Like, you don't have to do it all the time, but you can really see plays developing in both leagues if when you have that camera angle. So yeah, I hope they get rid of that. I was not a fan of that, but overall, I'm very, very, very pleased with both networks. But I give a slight edge to ESPN right now. I don't know. I didn't think the in studio, and I know a lot of people are loving the in studio, what TNT did. To me, it just needs a little bit of fine tuning. It just seemed like they were riffing a little bit too much and a little bit like unprepared, I'd say.
See,
Which is okay. I think some people are okay with that, but for me, it just seemed like they were like, we don't know what we're doing. We're working the kinks out as we go, and that's okay. I get that.
And that appealed to me because I was raised on the inside the NBA with Chuck, and like basketball. Like, you look forward to those studio shows. I got that feeling, that same inside the NBA feeling with that studio show, and you're like, I wonder what they're going to talk about. Like, you don't even like, even if you didn't care about the game, you're like, I wonder what they're going to talk about and what's going on with them, because they would usually riff and kind of just have no script. And if you weren't enjoying the game, they aren't either, and they'll talk about it. So.
And in a way, it's fine because ESPN maybe presents themselves as a little bit more like maybe a professional network, where TNT is maybe the opposite. So it's good to have that dynamic between the two. And one thing that I really loved with TNT was they I think it was TJ Oshie. They were interviewing him while he's going through pregame warmups on the ice.
Yeah,
that's great. It's stuff like that you never really thought of that they're doing. So good job, TNT and ESPN. All right, let's get to Bet Online and then talk about the weekend. So as with the game on Saturday against, who was it? St. Louis, right?
St. Louis.
All right. So we are back and better than ever with another football season, and all eyes are on the gridiron as teams are back for another football season. And as always, BetOnline is your number one spot for all the pro and college football action this year. With a new updated site and interface, even more odds, prop bets, and contests, BetOnline continues to be the number one source for everything football. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up, and you'll receive a 50% welcome bonus with your first deposit. And don't forget to use the promo code LOCKEDON to receive your bonus. From football, basketball, boxing, obviously our hockey is back in action, right to your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers for the 2021 season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all of your favorite sports. It's where the game starts. That is betonline.ag. So, all right, so what do we expect for Saturday against St. Louis? Not going to have Landeskog. We know that. MacKinnon up in the air. We don't know yet. He needs to have a couple negative COVID screens. We haven't heard anything about any screen for him. But I don't think we're in any place we didn't think we would be at this point with him. He's got to get 2 screens, I think, consecutive. So if he did Thursday, Friday, he's good to go. If he's got Friday, Saturday morning, he's good to go. If he's got a positive on any one of those days, he's out. So he's 50-50 right now, I would say. You're going to have Bednar back behind the bench. You're not going to have Taves. So I guess number one is like, and I think this is the only thing. One thing that benefits the Avalanche is being at home again. So you can feed off of that energy from the crowd. But once again, for the second game in a row, you're going to have a different looking team. First time, McKinnon's not there. Taves is not there. This time, Landeskog's not there on top of those guys. what are we expecting? Kind of just more of the same, more of the high energy, and Avs will be okay, or is this a lot to fix?
Who would have thought that the preseason was setting us up for these weird lineups? uh,
Yeah,
if
yeah,
uh, if MacKinnon does come back, you just swap MacKinnon for Landy 1-for-1. We get to it and we'll be fine.
yeah.
But if we don't have MacKinnon and Landeskog, it's going to be a true test of depth. And thanks isn't the St. Louis team we got to know. So they're
Yeah.
not as incredible as they used to be, but we can definitely try the depth out.
Who is it going to be? Who is? I mean, what is the? Because you probably have Burakovsky, move up to line one, right? You're gonna have, and then who takes all these spots? Like if MacKinnon comes back, we're good. That's your swap, MacKinnon for Landeskog. So let's say Landeskog or let's say MacKinnon doesn't come back, right?
Yeah.
What do? You move Burakovsky up, and then who moves up to the second line? It's a domino effect. Who takes the second line? Do you bring Comfer up to the second? Do you bring Jost up to the second? I don't know. I don't, or do you bring somebody up? Because if you bring McDermott up, and who didn't even play, but they floated him being a forward, if they bring him up to the forwards, which I guess you could do that, because then that wouldn't really hurt anything on the defensive end because he didn't take a defensive spot up.
Yeah, on that fourth line and just kind of shift everything up. Put
Move
Jost on the
guys up.
second line.
That's what I would do. Dude, that second line of Ranta, Newhook, and Jost, I thought started to play better as the game went on. And if you look at the numbers, like the deep numbers, they did. They played relatively well as the game went on. And as a whole, they played pretty well. But so do you want to break that up? Do you want to bring Jost up, and then what? You bring, God, I don't know. This is I'm trying to think about this on the fly, and you're or would you bring? No, you can't do it. I was gonna say, what do you do with Nichushkin? You got to leave him on the second line. This is tough. But I think the bottom. Go ahead.
Those bottom two lines 3 and 4, are so interchangeable.
Right.
And we've been practicing that in the preseason with different lines. And honestly, you could take a lot of those that you really had a hard time cutting at the end of training camp and the preseason that you had to get to that final roster cut, give them a chance to shine, make them the healthy scratch going through the season. Like, I don't know who you would put in that spot, but I do like the McDermott coming up to the fourth. And then just
against it. I mean, and all those fourth line guys, I mean, they played most of them, 10 minutes or so.
Yeah.
So can he give you 10 minutes of solid ice time? Sure. I'm not going to, stress about that too much, but this is Jared Bednar's coming back and he's going to make decisions like right away.
Yeah.
But this goes back. This all goes back to Gabe Landeskog. And if MacKinnon is out and he's out, like, he's got to know this stuff, man. Like, I know sometimes your emotions, you got to keep them in check. And, now he's putting his coach behind the 8 ball and this team behind the 8 ball for a game or two.
And Saturday, honestly, all lineup shifting aside, this will be Mikko's chance to really shine. This will be Mikko's really, like, put the team on his back and, like, really get out there and show us what he's got. This will be Mikko's team. You'll have Mikko and EJ being your kind of your veteran anchors out there. Just let them go.
Yeah. Has St. Louis even played yet? No. Are they playing tonight as we're recording this?
I don't think so.
St. Louis. That's their first game of the year? Hang on, let me check that real quick. Going into St. Louis schedule.
I think that's their
first game of the year. Oh my God, I feel bad for those fans having to sit through an entire week and your team doesn't play at all, and then you're opening up in Colorado, who's already got a game under their belt. But oh wow, I didn't know that was their first game of the year, so we don't have anything to go on and how a first game for them was. So we shall see.
I wonder why that is. That's a very late start to get your season going.
Well, talking with Alan, I know more about the New Jersey Devils than I really have ever known. They're not playing till Friday. That's their first game. It's Friday. So against Chicago too.
Yeah,
by the way.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess this will be the first time that the Blues are out on the ice. Got something to play for. They're itching to go. Then you know what I mean. They can't wait to get out there. So you're going to see your best from your opponents this year, just like Tampa Bay is really.
Hopefully, we get a little bit of rust out of St. Louis. Like that team was a slow starting team last year, so hopefully this long period between preseason and now, we get a rusty team and the absence of Landeskog is not going to really be that difficult to overcome.
Yeah, like I said, if you got MacKinnon back, it's just you plug him in. If he's not, you got to move stuff around. But the Avs should be built for this. We knew this was going to happen one way or another between injuries or COVID or now suspensions. You were going to have to do this stuff at some point in the season. And what I had asked so many times to the hockey gods, can we just get through October? That's already gone.
And I would put Kemper back in net and write it again, because I think he was low-key one of the most impressive members of the Avalanche.
Oh, 100%.
Just really, really standout stuff. So
yeah, he's a man.
Yeah.
So game 2 Saturday, and we'll definitely be talking about it on Monday and anything else that happens over the weekend. So thank you, Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, for joining on your Friday slot. Will not be here next week, right? You have family matters to attend to.
That is correct.
Yes. So be flying solo for the whole week, and then we'll have a lot to talk about in 2 weeks, pretty much.
We will.
So, all right. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in today and every day and making this your first listen. Definitely check out Locked On NHL, where you can hear me and Adam, and we do our power rankings for the entire league, not just us, the whole league wide. Yeah,
and the Irish jig of a dryer.
Yeah, I gotta know where you got that thing. That's gonna be aftermarket or somewhere. I don't know. I mean, that thing was playing a song.
That was something.
Jeez, that was impressive. Go check out Locked On NHL for your second listen and hear the Irish jig song from Adam's dryer played. If that's not enticing to go listen to that, I don't know what is. So all right, everybody, thank you for tuning in each and every day. It's always appreciated. And have a good weekend. Go Avs. Let's get to 2-0, and we'll see everybody on Monday.